The story begins when a curious young boy notices a light shining through the windows of his neighbor's seemingly abandoned house. As the boy sneaks into the house, he quickly realizes the house is not really abandoned, as strange things start happening. Hi folks, I'm R, your narrator, and welcome to the 9 Child Street. If you have any video or game suggestions, make sure to send them to me on my Twitter or subreddit. Keep in mind that this video will have spoilers ahead, and with that in mind, let's dive in. 9 Child Street is a disturbing story of dead children who were turned into a doll by a sick individual and are now haunting the abandoned house. There is some disturbing and terrifying truth to the story, as the game seems to be based off a real psychopath named Anatoly Muskin, who dug up the deceased children and turned them into mummified dolls, dressing them in stockings and clothes, putting makeup on their faces and giving them props. He then would mark up the birthday of his dead victims in his bedroom as a form of a reminder of what he has done. He went on for almost a decade living in the same house with some of the corpses turned into dolls, where he kept them supposedly waiting for a way to bring them back to life. He was later on caught and put in a mental hospital, while the devastated parents of the dead children had to endure immense pain once again of mourning their deceased little girls. The protagonist of the game is a young boy named Armin. As he is about to turn 9, he is incredibly curious of all things, but what really captivates his attention is the abandoned house across the street. Armin, observing the house from the window in his room, notices a lot of strange things happening. One night, he sees a light switched on in one of the rooms. Even though a little scared, his curiosity gets the better of him and he decides to go to the mysterious house in order to investigate. As he approaches the house, he notices all the doors are locked, apart from one door located at the back of the house, through which he enters the kitchen. As he explores the house, strange things start to happen. Lights start to flicker, and he hears strange noises coming from various parts of the house, and TV starts playing on its own, indicating some sort of a presence. As he further explores the house, he finds letters addressed to someone named Jack, who is most likely an owner or an occupant of the abandoned house, who seems to be a popular doll maker with lots of fans around the world. Apart from the letters, Armin finds ripped out pages of what seems to be a journal. The more pieces the protagonist finds, the more disturbing the content become. The writer of the notes seems to be an incredibly disturbed individual who is completely obsessed and sickly, attracted to children as they remind him of the good in the world, even though this feeling was always absent in his life. The writer admits to having 3 children in his house, all around the age of 9, just like our protagonist. Armin then tries to investigate the switched on light in an upstairs room when the message on the wall appears stating, "I was waiting for you," after which he finds a coffin with a note inside saying, "This is for you, Armin." Unsurprisingly, completely freaked out, Armin tries to flee, but as he turns around, he sees a black figure charging at him. Managing to escape, he finds the entrance doors completely boarded up, not allowing him to escape. Armin, forced to stay in the house, hears strange cries coming from one of the rooms, even though the doors are completely locked. All he manages to find is a note when presumably children previously caught by a mysterious black figure beg the protagonist for help. Armin then decides to help the children by opening the room and releasing them. He is, however, quickly disturbed by a trail of blood leading to the basement, where he finds a coffin with someone banging on it from the inside. When he opens the coffin, the body of a deceased adult, presumably the owner of the abandoned house, appears, and Armin wakes up from his nightmare. However, that doesn't deter him from wanting to investigate the mysterious house again. The young protagonist blacks out and wakes up in a mysterious house, completely perplexed by the presence he is in, not remembering how he got there in the first place. The house features tall bunk beds looking as if they belong to young children, whose pictures are hanging on the walls. The windows are boarded up and the door is tied with a rope, not allowing the protagonist to escape the mysterious house. In the box behind the armchair, the protagonist finds a bloodied cut-off hand of a small child, being utterly disturbed by the sight, which makes him quickly want to find a way out. Finding a pair of garden shears, he cuts through the rope and is able to escape his imprisonment. While leaving the room, he notices his favorite toy staring at him in the corner of the hallway, having a mysterious red light in one of his eyes shining through. While entering the next room, the child protagonist hears strange breathing sounds coming from behind the locked door, noticing there are quite a few child-sized coffins spread out on the floor, with a drawing of what seems to be a little girl standing next to a creepy-looking adult in a white dress, similar similar to a straitjacket and a bloodied hand, which is most likely a representation of the perpetrator. Some binoculars are left on the armchair facing the window, which looks over the street and the house of Armin, suggesting the perpetrator must have been observing his neighbor for quite some time, hoping he will soon enough come to investigate the house. The captor seems to still be in the house, so the young protagonist must be careful and silent in order not to attract any unwanted attention. The protagonist, unable to get through to the front door due to the barricaded stairs leading downstairs, quietly picks the lock into the kitchen in order to get the rope and escape the house of horror through the open window in one of the rooms upstairs. Once the protagonist grabs onto the rope, the environment changes. The lights turn red, and on the other side of the window stands a creepy looking silhouette of an adult man with a creepy looking smile staring at the little boy with malicious intents. Chased by the mysterious man, the boy grabs the rope and runs for his life when he manages to escape the perpetrator, quickly blocking off the door, tying up the rope and throwing it out of the window. As he starts climbing down the window, the rope snaps and he falls down, blacking out completely, portraying how he must have fell victim to the mysterious psychopathic man who was most likely the previously mentioned owner of the house, Jack, the doll maker. As that happens, the perspective changes. Now Armin is seen observing the abandoned house through his binoculars. Upset, he is the only one believing something is seriously wrong with that house, while everyone else thinks the house is simply abandoned. Armin designs an intricate plan to break into the abandoned house and put an end to the mystery. Armin, getting ready to embark on his journey to the abandoned house, prepares a few items he's planning on taking with him, like a cap, a backpack, and his rabbit stuffed toy. As he was previously forbidden to go to the house by his parents, he secretly sneaks out at night while the letter for his parents telling them where he had gone. Armin goes through the gap in the fence of the abandoned house and gets to the front door, which, unlike in his dream, is cracked open, inviting him in. As he goes inside the house, he notices the doors leading upstairs are barricaded with a wardrobe, which shocks Armin. Based on what the other young protagonist went through, it's safe to assume that it was blocked out by the doll maker in order to keep the other young boy from escaping. Just like in his dream, while exploring the house, Armin notices weird light flickers and electronics turning on and off on their own, like the TV turning on its own while he is in the living room. The house is full of paintings of children, but those are not regular paintings. There is something incredibly creepy about them, as the children smile chillingly, staring at the viewers. Apart from the paintings featuring children, the protagonist may observe creepy canvases depicting monstrous entities. Armin proceeds to explore the house by going upstairs in order to investigate the light coming from the upstairs bedroom. The door to the room in which the previous young protagonist woke up in is wallpapered and covered by a large white cabinet with a paint can on the stairs with a bloody handprint on it, suggesting that the previous protagonist must be already dead and someone tried to get rid of the evidence by covering the doors. In the room next door, Armin finds a computer which types a message on its own saying, "We've been waiting for you, Armin," suggesting there must be more than one perpetrator. The light in the room flickers and turns off, but shortly after it turns on in the storage with red doors when cracking breathing sounds is heard and a putrid, foul smell stinks up the room, which completely debilitates poor Armin. The door to the room closes, and the only way Armin can move forward is by opening the red door with the red key. However, as Armin picks up the key, he realizes half of it is still missing. The lights then start to flicker again, and the doors to the room magically open again. Armin, baffled by what he sees, he starts to quickly calm himself down by saying it must be just a problem with electricity and decides it's time to go home. Making a smart decision, trying to find a way out, Armin notices a ball moving as if being kicked, but no one is next to the ball. Intrigued by the sight, he goes to investigate and he finds a strange configuration of random items placed on the floor in a circular shape with a head of a doll on the stick right in the center. Armin ensures that belongs to the doll maker, but is confused to what had happened to him. As he enters the room, he notices a creepy doll looking like a little boy standing in the closet. While exploring the room further, he notices an open window, and once he looks through the window, he sees a person standing on the other side of the road staring directly at him, with a silhouette similar to that of a man who chased the previous young protagonist, suggesting it might be the owner of the house, Jack, the doll maker. Frightened, Armin leaves the room and proceeds towards the exit door when he has a weird feeling of being followed by someone or something. After leaving this strange property, he realizes he has left his hat inside and decides to go back for it, otherwise his parents won't be pleased. Armin goes back to the house for some reason. I mean, the cap probably doesn't matter at this point. And of course, instead of finding his hat, he finds a handwritten note with a drawing of a smiley face in the middle saying, "Let's play." Well done, Armin. Well done. This suggests the thing or the person he's followed by must be quite childish, perhaps one of the children trapped inside the bodies of dolls and possessed by an evil spirit. Once the protagonist reads the note, a manic laugh is heard, similar to a laugh of a child, and red flickering lights turn on in the downstairs bathroom. Behind the curtain in the bathroom stands a doll, the same one Armin previously saw upstairs in the closet, laughing manically. The doll sticks out its artificial hand, passing Armin his red cap. Armin, happy that he found his cap, runs towards the door when the doll all of a sudden doesn't stop, following him almost as if it's playing hide and seek. Rapidly moving towards the door, Armin finds the door to be unsurprisingly locked. Luckily, however, the code to the lock seems to be the same as the label found on his bunny. The hunted doll, however, sneakingly grabs the bunny and runs off, leaving Armin with no choice but to chase it. Playing this twisted game of tag, the doors and walls in the house start shifting, with the walls coming in the place of doors, indicating of a presence of a sinister spirit. While looking for his bunny, Armin finds a note on the wall claiming the author of the note is alone but keeps hearing stomping and laughter at night, suggesting the author of the note must be the doll maker who awakened evil spirit in the doll which he created. The author seems to be pleasantly surprised and somehow happy about that, as he mentions that he can finally hear the laughter that has been missing in the house for a while, showing the doll maker must have been incredibly lonely and perhaps broken after the loss of someone significant, which made him lose his mind as he enjoys the company of the evil doll. As he progresses through the house, Armin finds the bunny with a hidden message saying, "Happy birthday" from your neighbor across the street, which suggests the perpetrator knows Armin had celebrated his 9th birthday not long ago. That is quite scary, as the doll maker seemed to be especially fond of children who were about 9 years old, as he mentioned in his previous notes, admitting to having 3 children in his house around the age of 9. Trying to solve the puzzle left on the lock on the main door, Armin is interrupted by a strange-looking boy standing on top of the stairs looking down at him while panting in a way as if gasping for air. Curious yet petrified, Armin follows the boy upstairs to investigate, following him to the room with a bloodied curtain screen, behind which he finds a dead man, the owner of the house and the supposed doll maker. In the room there is what seems to be a workshop in which the neighbor was making his dolls. There is lots of blood around in various places in the room, as well as drawings that show how to build the perfect doll. On the note left on the desk, the doll maker admits he became wary of his own creation, as he mentioned someone called Mortualia, a supposed little girl turned into a doll starting to show signs of being conscious and alive, which made the author fear as he felt as he's being followed and observed by her, similarly to Armin and the creepy boy-like looking doll. The author of the note also mentions Mortualia was dangerous due to her lack of heart, further implying she was a doll. The author mentions also in the note that the toy belonging to the dead boy is above the TV, so that no childlike doll can reach it. Armin then proceeds to look for the toy in the hopes of finding another clue. As he walks around the house in search of the toy, he finds it above the TV with the note, "You were lucky to be born with such pretty face. Take this toy from me," which shows the message must have been left there by the perpetrator and directed towards the owner of the toy, in this case, a little boy. Shortly after, Armin manages to open the red door and check what's lurking behind it. As Armin opens the door, he finds a still alive young boy, partially turned into a doll, chained to a pipe and left to die on his own. The writing on the wall seemed to reveal what had happened to him, his tragic story and him longing to go back to his parents. It must be what the boy has written when he still had the energy to do so. His mouth is closed so that he can't scream or cry out for help, but he is still conscious as he begs Armin for some food, when Armin in empathy promises him some food from the kitchen. While on his quest, he gets approached by a little boy, or rather a ghost of his, who tells Armin all the captured children had been waiting for him as he is their salvation. Therefore, the writing that was saying "we are waiting for you" was seemingly from the children who were waiting for him to come and save them. The doll makers seem to be capturing children and stealing their body parts in order to create his perfect doll, but the doll is still missing something. Armin's heart. Upon the completion, the captured children believed to be finally free. That's also why they blocked the front entrance door and put up a code that would keep Armin inside the house so he wouldn't be able to escape and possibly save them. The mysterious boy asks Armin to help him find his toy, to which Armin reluctantly agrees, knowing he doesn't really have an option. The protagonist promises to find the toy, and the little boy grants him access to the cameras placed around the house so that he can find it. The camera access helps Armin find another toy and another letter to unlock the entrance door, with a note attached saying, "I hope this toy will bring you happiness." In the kitchen, Armin finds some food, which he decides to take upstairs to feed the hungry boy from the red room. He is unfortunately too late as the little boy collapses and dies, leaving behind his toy with a message attached to it, wishing someone a great future as a ballerina. The message left on the toy is most likely for the little boy that died, as he was mutilated by the doll maker to make the perfect doll. The lock on the entrance door seems to be spelling the name Mortualia, which is the name of the heartless doll, the perfect creation of the doll maker, which he ended up being so afraid of. The ghost of the little boy Armin previously spoke to also mentioned the perfect doll is almost complete, but the last part needed to complete the creation, the heart. Even though certain to what the password and the like may be, Armin must find the last missing letter in order to open the locked door and escape. Therefore, he needs to find the last final missing toy. It seems as if the only place the protagonist hasn't looked through yet is the basement. Forced to go down and find the toy, Armin follows candlelit staircase leading down to the basement, where he finds another note from the doll maker, in which the author complains about the lack of friendships when growing up and strange fascination with making toys out of dead animals and even people, which led him to his latest project, Mortualia. Clearly unstable and psychotic, the dollmaker reveals his intention was to give them another life and the lifeless toys a soul. Armin finds a shovel and what looks like a mass grave and decides to dig in hopes to find a missing toy. As he digs, he finds a coffin with a corpse of a little girl with missing eyes lying next to the missing toy. Armin picks up the toy with a message, but that seems to anger the corpse of the child, who rises from death, sitting and glaring at Armin while he reads the hidden message, which states she had beautiful eyes, confirming the dollmaker stole her eyes to complete Mortualia. How he stole other parts of other children to complete the perfect doll. When Armin gets to unlock the entrance door and escape, the ghost of children become more and more hostile, ganging up on him and trying to prevent him from unlocking the door and leaving the house. Armin, however determined, manages to escape and get back home. He is, however, forever haunted by terrible dreams of that awful house, deeply traumatized to the point that he can't forget of what happened and is unable to move on, completely broken by the fact that he can't change anything. The ghosts of the children as well as the wicked doll observe Armin in hopes he will come back to the abandoned house one day so that Mortualia can be finally completed. And that's about it for this video, folks. I truly hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, you can stay tuned for more by hitting on the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's been your host R, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.